On this video, I'm going to be talking to you about the one strategy that is going to amplify your reach to audiences called audience hacking. It's free and it's organic. So if you've never heard the term audience hacking, it's something that I have really adapted to and really pushed my clients to really take a full-blown strategy on. So audience hacking is basically where you are collaborating with other creators that are, say, on a podcast or on social media content or whatever other medium that you would use to collaborate on. And you're going to be getting on that content together, sharing that, asking them to share it. And then now someone in an audience that didn't know you before is now introduced to you by way of the person that you collaborated with. It's a very unique strategy, very easy to do. And honestly, it's free. So a great example of this, I'll give you a perfect example, is podcasting. Obviously, one of the biggest ways to get introduced to other audiences and basically deliver value, not just like, hey, can you give me a shout out? It's like actually organically getting introduced to another audience is by having guests on a podcast. Now, I have a podcast called the REI Marketing Weekly, and I get guests on the show, people that I strategically pick, number one, because they could potentially work with me or they already are working with me. Or maybe they have an audience that when I get them on my show, I'm going to have them share it to their audiences. And now their audiences that they've already spent time building in some capacity, whether it was through email or social media marketing or running funnels or ad campaigns, they built it themselves. But now because I got them on my podcast, they're going to share my podcast episode with their own audience. And now by doing that, I've been introduced to a larger other audience that I'd never been introduced before. So I probably am going to find somebody that doesn't know me that could potentially work with me in some capacity. So the reason why I really like this is because, number one, it's highly efficient. This is one of the most efficient things that you could do because of the relationship building side of it, but also you are now by default going to have instant credibility with that new audience because that audience currently trusts the person that you collaborated with, or else they wouldn't be following them. Great example. If I get on a podcast with Brent Daniels, who has been on my podcast, I've had him on his, he has a very unique and sophisticated audience in the real estate investing space. So if I get him on my podcast, which I have, he's going to collaborate, he's going to be on my podcast, bring immense value, deliver a lot of really great information. Once my episode goes out with him, I'm going to send it to him, or I'm going to collaborate with him on other content and say, hey, can you share this with your audience? He's going to take it, post it on his social media. He's going to post it in his emails. And then audiences that he's already worked hard to build are going to be introduced to me because of that value that got delivered. So that's essentially the way it works. And it's very easy to do. And I'm going to give you a few ways that you can actually do it that I've done it that are a little bit more unique. A couple of them are like really easy ones that maybe I've even talked about already. But I have a couple up my sleeve that are pretty easy and actually can get you a lot of leads hitting your doorstep fairly easily. So the first thing is really podcasting or doing any really types of interviews at all. It doesn't just have to be podcasting. It could be a first show that you have on YouTube or a show that you have on Instagram if you want to, or whatever it is. We see this a lot in the sports world. So let's just take, for example, the NFL. So let's say, for instance, we're watching Monday Night Football and you have your typical announcers. I don't remember who announces specifically on Monday Night Football. I feel like it's sporadic sometimes, but let's take, for instance, at the halftime show, they have a special guest on, which Jason Kelce, who was a former center for the Philadelphia Eagles, has been making a lot of appearances. He hops on, and then people that are fans of him are going to watch that halftime show and have instant credibility with the people that he's interviewing with because of the audience that maybe he's built. Right now, he's not a content creator or anything like that, but that just goes to show is even at that level, collaboration does happen. It's no different than your favorite music artist. Let's take, for instance, Travis Scott comes out with a song and it's featuring Kendrick Lamar, right? Now, I actually don't know if there's any songs that are out there with Travis Scott and Kendrick Lamar, but I do know that this is a hot take here. Travis Scott brings on Drake for a song, right? So Sicko Mode comes out and it's instantly a better song because Drake is on there. Now, it could be a good song by itself, but because Drake is on there, fans of Drake will listen to that song because Drake is a feature on there. This has been you really saw this coming to fruition a lot in the early 2000s where a lot of artists would collaborate with others and have a feature. There was a lot, I felt like almost every hit that came out was a feature. There's a reason for it, because you're bringing two audiences together, fans of, one artist and another artist coming together, and one song is created, and now you're introducing artists to another audience. Maybe they haven't listened to them or given them a chance or anything like that. That's kind of the way it works, and it's very, very effective. So obviously, like, collaborating on the content's very important. Podcasting is one way, video interviews is another way. And then also, like, if you go to events and you're like meeting up with people, I see this all the time where I go to masterminds and you see people out in the hallways, they're doing, social media videos together, they're doing interviews together. I did this actually at a couple of masterminds this year recently, and it worked out really, really well. And I actually encourage my clients to do it as well. Some of them peeled away to go out to do an interview with somebody else, and it worked well. And now they're being introduced to other audiences that have already been built. So kind of a last bonus tip that I'll give you. This is just a prime example. Not everybody's going to do this, but this is something that I did that worked really well. So a few years ago, I was realizing that I really needed a lead hook. So lead hook being something where you have that's a low ticket offer. So whether it's a book or it's a free PDF, a free guide or something like that, or a free course, that you can literally just capture emails because somebody's going to sign up for it, and now you're building your email list. You can market to that email list, blah, blah, blah. That's a whole nother conversation. I decided to do a free plus shipping book offer and wanted to test that. However, I'm not an author and I didn't want to write a full-blown book, but I wanted to make sure it was big enough to have some sort of contextual value. So here's what I did. I created the REI Marketing book. So my podcast is called the REI Marketing Weekly, and I'm actually going to be doing a version 2 of this pretty soon. But basically, the idea of this is that I took the interviews that I did on my podcast, I think it was like the first 50 interviews, and I got them transcribed and then had topics kind of put together by a writer, really contextualized chapters into like sales, specifically marketing, specifically data and lists, specifically, talking to sellers or generating leads. Like there's chapters in there, and each chapter has multiple segments that I talk to with somebody on the interview, and then formed it into a book. So literally on the subtitle here, it says featuring 37 rock star real estate investors, right? So I have 37 people that are in this book. Let's see here. So I actually have this. And by the way, you can go pick this book up if you want. Let me see real quick. There we go. So that entire list of names right there, all of those people are in this book. So I sent a free book before I launched it to every single person that's in this book and asked them to take a picture with it and then literally post on social media and say, hey, go pre-order your book. By doing that, I had over 1,000 pre-orders on this book before it even came out. And I did a free plus shipping offer, so it was like $8.95 or something like that. So I got over 1,000 leads in my contacts, and I think that happened within a 2-week time span just by doing a collaboration and hacking into other audiences. And to this day, I have people come to me and say, I never knew you before I read your book, and the book was amazing. Guys, I only wrote the foreword, the dedication, and then a couple blurbs inside the book. That's it. The rest of it was all collaboration from other creators, other people that got on my podcast. And so I audience hacked with them. So now their audiences are picking up my book and being introduced to me. So if you truly want one of the most efficient, best ways that's organic and in a sense free, maybe you're spending your time on it, then audience hack. It's going to be one of the easiest ways to be able to get into other networks. And obviously you want to make sure you're delivering value in some way. Now, you can obviously make guest appearances on other podcasts. Make sure you have a good kind of lineup of here's what I talk about and that sort of thing, and get yourself on other podcasts. I push my clients I work with to get on at least a few podcasts a month, like 2 to 4 podcasts every single month, because that's just extra content that they're going to be making appearances on and hacking into other audiences. So it's highly efficient, definitely going to bring a lot of value. And then not to mention, you can use that content to chop it up into social media clips, post it on Instagram, and then invite them as a collaborator. I actually just did this with a video that went out today. One of my podcasts, I had a fitness trainer named Bob Kazmachek on there, and then I invited him to collaborate, and now I'm being introduced from my social media to the people that follow him, and it's a win-win for everybody. So those are the ways that you can collaborate. That's what audience hacking is, and you should definitely do it. If you guys like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or anything that you want me to address on these videos, leave a comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. I really do. I check every single comment. I reply to every single comment that comes through, even if it's kind of heinous and not respectful. I still want to reply to it because I want to make sure that I'm letting you know I'm still here and I'm not just shying away from your negative comments, right? So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you catch me on the next one. See you guys.